What's up, Facebook?
Hello.
Welcome to the after party D18, and a week last week before the primary election, so changing it up a little bit. Every night this week we'll have the 5 different gubernatorial teams, and we kick it off tonight with the Gutierrez Bordallo team. Of course, former 2-time governor, former Governor Carl Gutierrez, and joined by his running mate here, former chief of police, former senatorial candidate Fred Bordallo. Sitting in for an ailing Sabrina Solis Mazzanani. She's at home tonight eating kaddu. We have Jason Solis. And, let's get right into it because, we were trying to ask you before, how many times have you ran for governor?
78, 86, 90, 94, 98, 2006, 2010, 2014, and now. So 8 times coming up.
8 times.
Yep. But, failure is not the losing. It's not the stopping.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Okay.
No, well, I got first. I mean, just how has this campaign been different? Because, just from an observational viewpoint, watching all the 4 different Democratic teams, this year seems to be a year where, more people are talking about the Gutierrez team. I mean, last election, not too great of a showing, obviously, but I feel like this time, are you getting more people who didn't really support you guys before talking about, Gutierrez Bordallo? So what makes this campaign different?
Because I think people are looking at us as we stand before the people, that we are interviewing for the job of being governor. And when you interview someone, you got to be able to figure out how and what he has done in the past. I mean, when they hire you here, you probably were the best cook in Chamorro, and so they hire you, right? So I'm trying to tell the people that right now is such a dire situation financially, and the soul of Guam seems to be missing. I just don't feel the Guam that I know, and the Guam that I traversed through before the war, during the war, after the war, the transition. So I know that culture that I grew up in it seems like it's almost completely lost. And so when they hear that happening, and people are out there, probably 750 people homeless and some veterans, and they don't seem to see the Chamorro culture coming to lift them up. So they're looking at the past when Jerry Gutierrez and she had people helping people, for those people that fall through the cracks that the government cannot help. There was a holistic working relationship that the First Lady and I had to be the real Magalahi and the Magahaga, where you sit like this or you go in the public square and let the people come to tell you their problems.
You're talking about
they can't get to Adelup.
Right?
Then nobody can get into Adelup to talk with the governor and the lieutenant governor. And so they know that. I've had 8 years of doing that with Jerry, and they now recalling that. And now they're thinking that since I've already gone through the process of extricating ourselves in 1995 from the financial crash on Guam, then they're saying that somebody needs to be coming in here now that knows the ropes already, that has traversed the political landscape. And I tell them, I earned my Eagle badge. And if you want the Cub Scouts or the Brownies, that's up to you.
And my 29 years of working, starting in the Guam Police Department, when I came back from the Marines and I joined in 1986. I came in at the time Governor Ricky Bordallo was the governor, and then it transitioned to Governor Joseph Ada, and then also went to Governor Gutierrez and Auntie Madeline, and then also it went over to Governor Camacho and Moylan, Governor Camacho and Mike Cruz, and then of course Eddie Cabo and Ray Tenorio, and the thing is, in that going through the department from those 29 years, I could see a lot of the different changes, what's happening on the community. Because I've worked as a street patrol officer,
right,
and going up to the ranks, and I'm actually going to houses and and domestic disturbances, drugs that are happening on our island. And this campaign is a little bit different from when Governor Gutierrez ran with Auntie Madeline, because the difference is Auntie Madeline wasn't a police officer, wasn't working in the streets, and I give that sort of perspective to Governor
Right.
Gutierrez when
Yeah.
we discuss in our meetings about how to move forward and what we're going to do to address some of the things and changes on our island.
I'm curious, what's it like to run with Uncle Carlo? Because I mean, he casts such a huge shadow, and I mean, you've got to be like the biggest name, running mate that he's had in recent memory, well, since Frank Huggen maybe.
I'll
So
tell
what's
you
that
that-
like to follow this guy
I'll
around?
tell you this, it's humbling, and the knowledge that he has in a particular place, any place that we go to when I'm with the governor, he can actually assess his businesses with the people. So he can easily say, I know this crowd. They're all workers with the legislature. They all work for different senators. Now I know this crowd. Those are new faces, and
You got
he
the
knows
radar.
them by their names. He knows them by their family
Yeah, yeah.
names and everything.
And
He easily recognizes them.
when I was looking for a lieutenant governor, he's always been in the forefront, right? And because I felt that, but he wasn't quite sure that he wanted to do it, but he was there, and I looked at this man's background, and I listened to him explain what maybe his vision is for Guam. I said, this guy's actually really good for, particularly when he gets grants for the police department. He's adept in the clearinghouse job that the lieutenant governor has under law. That would be an asset for the people of Guam, to be a working lieutenant governor and to be interacting with the directors out there and the whole organization, while I'm tasked with going out there and marketing Guam and bringing the resources back to Guam, networking in Washington, D.C., going around Asia and trying to bring investment here. And so he will be a great, administrative guy to be able to do that.
So if elected, let's say you guys make it through the primary, make it through the general, would Bordallo be your czar of public safety in the kind of the way that Governor Calvo has appointed Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio?
No, we're going to be serious with this one. We're going to together. We're going to take care of public safety and whatever it is. But he would be the one tasked to interact with the entire GovGuam network. Because that's what his job will be. Well, while they leave me alone, I can, I oversee it. The buck stops with me. But I'm going to be bringing in the business community, and we're going to sit like as I did in 1995 and empower them to assist us in extricating ourselves from this financial mess. And these guys are all these CEOs, the MBAs for the big corporations. They're going to be working for the government of Guam for free, as we did back in '95. Yeah, because they're there sitting every week. We're setting up a vision plan on how to move forward. They don't feel like they're going to be targeted with taxes or raising rates on different things, and so they're part of the administration because it makes our job easier. So that's what I would be doing. I'll replicate that same way I did in 1995 and 1998. And all those guys in 95 that when I won in the 94 election, 95% of the business community did not support me. But when I called them in and they became partners and empowered, in 98 they all stood out there publicly endorsing Gutierrez Bordallo again, because they really are part of the empowerment. That's free work from these guys that are, it might be good for their business, but we monitor that. But what's good is for the business is going to be good for a sustainable economy.
Well, I've got a question, because Governor, I remember covering you about 20 years ago, and you were always somebody who always had these baseline numbers, or you said within the first 90 days we're going to do
Yes.
A, B, C, D, E. Within 6 months we're going. You're a man who's always tried to say, here's the schedule, here's 6 months out, a year out, everything. Should you and Fred be elected, what is your 90-day plan, given the fact that because it will be a Democrat team taking over what at that point will be previously a Republican team, half of the work you're going to have to do is taking over what the Calvo administration has done. So you've got half of that job, and then you've got your own plan. So within the first 90 days, what do you
Fred
plan to
hasn't
do?
been governor or elected governor yet, or lieutenant governor. But right after November 6th, there's a transition period of 2 months. I would have a transition team.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be going into all the various agencies. They might be able to go to the Department of Administration and look at the books. But as soon as I become governor of Guam under the Organic Act, I am the tax commissioner by law. First thing I want to do is to find out what the real situation is with our finances. People are asking me, what are you going to do about this? I don't really know what's going on. The legislature said him, Galvo says them, and you don't know. But I'm going to find out because I would have the authority to look at documents and I look at the collections, look at everything and what's going on in the taxation part. So I assess that first, and then we're going to call in the business community, the clergy, the DOE people, people in general for a vision planning group to do as we did in the first 3 months, set a goal for maybe Vision 2024, 2025, and set the early goals and the midterm goals and the long-term goals on the way out. And that's how we do it. We set those goals. Mm-hmm. Vision 2001, we hit 85% of it. And it was an attainable goal. And we monitor it and we check it off.
Okay, I do have another question, because one thing that I always remember about, one of the themes you always said over the years when you were sitting as governor, and then even when you were not as governor, is you always said you have always wanted to run the government of Guam like a business.
Yes.
And it's a well-known fact that you are a self-made man. You went into the Air Force. You got out after serving our country. You started your own business. You were successful at that. The world's a much different place these days, obviously, than it was back in 1998. But do you still feel that theme holds true, and to run GovGuam as almost like a private entity as far as managing the departments, handling finances?
Yeah,
and how do you run the government like a business when you're a Democrat? Usually that's something you hear the Republicans saying.
That's something that you need to know because you're young. I told it to the Chamber of Commerce. I said, you people, take the blinders off. Every time you go in to vote, you look under the Republican banner. But these are all rhinos. They're Republican in name only. These are the guys that are raising your taxes, raising the fees. Look at the voting. I'm a Democrat in name only. I'm a dino because I was in business. And when I go in there to be able to use common sense, Republicans don't, under that name, doesn't have the common sense. Everybody has it. So they look at me as a name, as a Democrat, but that's not how I practice it. I mean, I know that if you can't spend money you don't have, and that if you pull in the people to be empowered from surrounding you, it makes your job easier. So it's not that, and you know what? That's the transparency part. I was asked by the other organization that emulates you guys here.
Our friends over at...
And they said, when you're governor, how are you going to, what's the relationship you're going to have with the media? I said, the media is the fourth estate. What relationship? I'd love to have them sitting in my office and be my gangs, but that's not the way it's going to be. But the transparency of the people that are affected, like the business community, for example, that one I keep repeating because they're the ones that are driving the economy. They're the ones that you don't want to scare away. They're the ones that are going to try to get investment into Guam. They're the ones that are going to make sure that the economy continues to grow. So those are people sitting in with you. That's an automatic transparency. We're not going to try to hide anything. So that's what I'm talking about. Common sense, Jason, is what you're trying to say. Mm-hmm. That's what I practice. That it makes sense, we do it. But I don't overdream. Mm-hmm. We have achievable goals.
Okay.
There's a myth that government can't be entrepreneurial,
right.
But it can. It just takes that kind of leadership, from the business approach of encouraging individuals to, take some risk.
I'm going to ask you, what's your plan, boots on the ground? This is, the last week of the primary. So organizationally, what are some of the things that you guys are trying to, get checked off your to-do list this week?
Well, a lot of the success, the effectiveness of a campaign is just to make sure that we have our leaders, our village leaders, meet and coordinate some of the events that we've had, and they turned out to be successful events. Our block party was successful. Our wave that we just had in Dede was successful. Of course, there's going to be other waves that's on the schedule that we have, but we're also
But you guys are unified, so
the main thing is just making sure that we have everybody all hands on deck, like we say, and make sure that we get out the vote, because we're working all the way into election day to make sure that if people still have questions and still are undecided, we're accessible. The governor's accessible. I'm accessible. That we can answer the questions of those that are undecided, so that we reach the finish line and successful and win.
Okay.
You haven't.
I'll-
I'm sorry. You haven't said it so directly, like the
Yeah.
both of you. But would you say you would enforce like an open door policy when you take Adelup? Should you take Adelup?
It's automatic.
Okay.
Open door policy. I already told all the people that are following us, you guys go and you buy steel-toe shoes because we're gonna all go out there and kick down the door at Adelup and capture the spirit of Guam back, bring the soul back. Everybody is going to be part of it because the campaign of Fred and Carl, it's their campaign. They're the ones that are going to win. So they know that it's their campaign. Their lives are at stake. So they know that when we win, we all march together. I don't look back at them. So that open door policy is a natural for Jerry Gutierrez and I, and I'm sure it's a natural for Lily
Let
and
me ask
and
you:
Fred.
Is this out of the teams? We have Aguilam Tiaco, Lou and Josh. Dennis and David. Who is your main competitor out of those three other Democratic teams?
You know, we never concerned ourselves with that, to tell you the truth. We set a momentum goal, and we've reached the crescendo right now. And as Fred was saying, this week and the next few days is to get out the vote. We've already reached that peak, and we don't know how far the others are behind because I don't look back. So I don't know. Okay, so we're going to move forward and take this election on Saturday.
Now I know I know at the chamber forum you took some shots at Lou, and you also took some shots at not shots. I mean
Facts.
facts. I guess
Yeah,
one
yeah,
way to put
yeah.
it. Right?
You know that the people of Guam take the blinders off. Everyone. You don't ever want to put a governor in there that's conflicted from the outset. I mean, if you own all of the money of the government of Guam in your bank, and you have bonds that you're holding for GWA on a family trust and the airport, and now the ASC buyout, where the $1.5 billion of the retirement fund money, might be going through. So you're automatically conflicted. You see what I'm saying? So, there's but if it ever comes to me and I'll just recuse myself. Yeah, you can go off island and have your enabler take care of everything, So that's the problem.
Has it been tough for you guys to campaign with this? I know you all signed the Unity Pledge, but behind the scenes, there's been a lot of attacking going on, a lot of anonymous ads that we're seeing on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I got one today on me, so somebody's supposed to be my lapdog, but we're not involved in that. That's why when you ask us who's behind, I don't know. But there are others, obviously, that are taking pot shots at the other candidates. I don't know who they are, and we're certainly not part of it because we've already set our goals. That
You take your shots out front, I notice.
up openly,
Yeah.
openly. We don't not behind, cracking out someone.
You're not one to hide behind like a
No,
third party.
I'll
or
face,
a
I'll
shot
face,
group, right.
just like tonight. I'll say it like it is, because it's true.
So would you say that you feel that then, with the attacks that you've done on Lou and Josh, that you feel that they might be your
Well, they're
main
not
competitor?
attacks, and we're just setting the record straight, because as a voter, would be continually worried about someone that's conflicted, because the island's we're an enclave here and very few people have all the wealth on this island, and when you're controlling the throne and you're controlling the banking community, and obviously something's going to come that's going to have you make a choice, and it's just difficult to do it because you're an automatic conflict.
Okay, Fred, I have a question, if I may. Because of your experience as a chief of police, obviously public safety is going to be a major concern of yours, and that's going to be like a lot of your work. Crime is a major concern right now. It's being addressed in a very positive way. The Mandaina Drug Task Force is doing some good work cracking down on the drug problem on Guam, but where do you see your efforts, given all the stuff that you'll have to do as lieutenant governor, but given your own interest in working with public safety and the integration of GPD with all the other agencies?
Yeah, well, the thing is public safety. The priorities of our our campaign and on our administration is healthcare, public safety, and education. And we've seen a lot of the news and a lot of things about these drug arrests that the Mandaina Task Force are doing, and the officers. Some of those officers that are a part of that. That's a great particular work that they're doing. I've worked with some of those officers. But the thing about it is there are other things that we have to look at, and we've said that about reducing demand. So drug treatment is, we need resources to that, and education. And I have said that at the time when I was a violent street crimes task force narcotics officer, doing similarly what the Mandana task force was doing in terms of drug investigations. First Lady Gutierrez was doing the people helping people, the war on ice, the war on drugs, and those are the kind of things, the anti-drug education.
And I know
to
with,
reach
with
out.
this administration, they did try and do like, I think it was ICE will shatter your life, and they came out with one thing, and then you never heard anything else about it.
Yeah,
and
and the thing about it is customs. See, customs right now and all these law enforcement agencies are understaffed, and the governor, as he had said, and I agree, is to say that we need to look at on the assessment. What are their staffing numbers? What can we do to make sure that there's enough personnel to keep our borders protected?
Right.
To make sure there's enough police officers, enough fire personnel, enough agriculture and conservation officers that are natural
Enough of
resources
everything,
protected.
basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
and make
kinds of
sure that
stuff.
they have a sufficient budget to operate with, and make sure they're spending their money wisely.
You
Okay,
talked
And
about
what Fred is
violence.
saying on that is that we are going to let the people know that our priority is first the health care
Yeah.
of the people of Guam.
GMH.
GMH and the healthcare in
Healthcare,
general.
public
That's the,
safety.
and then
Public
public
health,
safety,
health.
and then education, and then we're looking at all the core responsibilities of why government was instituted in the first place, and that's the three goals that we have. So we're going to fund the Guam Memorial Hospital first by making it a line agency instead of throwing bones at it every 3 months. They raise taxes or raise fees. We're going to go into the legislature and say fund this hospital fully. All right, and then also public health, the clinics. Those are the things that we're going to do, and then go to public safety, and put in full complement the number of customs officers out there. There's 114 lacking of customs officers, and I hit the lieutenant governor also when he at the GCC. He says, when the Governor Gutierrez was the governor, he only had $366 million budget. Now it's almost $1 billion. And I said, well, at least under my 366, I had a full complement of customs officers and police officers, and we made it work, and people were happy.
I got to ask you, how has campaigning changed when you first started campaigning, all those decades ago? And even, in the 90s, the Manumco kind of really ruled the family. It was like, boy, this is who you're going to vote for. And now with technology changing, not just the culture changing, but the makeup of our island demographically, it's very different. How have you been able to adjust your campaign to the way things are now?
Well, Fred can probably answer too, but let me tell you that that's a lot of the concerns of the people that the millennials are going to rule this in their voting. Only 9% of the 18 to 26 are registered. 9%. When we go in and campaign, the Chamorro culture, the Filipino culture, the Micronesian culture, the family still dictates. And I had a visit at one of the gatherings, and a man named Bong Nagao. Uncle Carl, you don't know me, but I was 8 years old when you were up there at Machanal, and you're putting all the water lines in and finally giving us water after 20 years. So those things translate even to those kids. They know because they see me out there. They see the First Lady that helped them get medical attention. So there's no different. People's lives are still people's lives. When I was asked at the university, are you going to protect the natural resources of this island, like the parrots and the deer and the water and all that? I said, first I'm going to take care of a natural resource, the people, especially those that are living outside on the streets. The people have been neglected, they've been marginalized, they feel abandoned, and so that we're going to take care of that first.
Okay, I've got a question now, because you mentioned, Governor, that you want to bring in a lot of foreign investment.
Yes.
It's been said by your former running mate, Speaker B.J. Cruz, that Guam cannot survive on tourism alone. That is our bread and butter. Hospitality is who we are as Guamanians, but to put all our eggs in one basket is very, very risky. Specifically, what types of foreign investment are you looking at?
Well, first of all, historically again, when I took over as governor, the first thing I said, I was going to go to President Clinton, and I'm going to tell them that I'm selling Guam as America in Asia. We are farther west, and we're closer to Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong than we are to Honolulu. So I said I'm going to go and get Guam into the North American numbering plan. So we became 1671.
Yep.
And then when the 1996 Telecom Act came in, the bill that passed the House did not include Guam as a rural designation. I had to go to the Senate and see Senator Stevens and the president to call some of the Democratic members to please amend that bill that just went over from the House to designate Guam as a rural designation so that we get the lowest rates as they do in the rural parts of the United States. That's what we have now. Then I marketed Guam in all the fiber optics that are leading in and out of Guam.
Yep.
We have more fiber optics here going in and out than any place else per capita in the world. Now GTA, I helped privatize GTA. I started the privatization. They've gotten together a consortium of 55 companies at $50 million each. That's $250 million. From Indonesia, they're putting in more cables to Japan. And I suspect that this is for mostly military purposes, but we can ride on that.
Do you still want to give new life to that idea that you pushed very heavily during your administration? You want to turn Guam into like a international hub of telecom between America and Asia?
Okay, but the foundation I'm building is that when Trump passed his last bill for the taxation, he reduced the corporate tax from 35 to 21%. He wanted 15. I think he's going to try to bring it down to 15 before maybe December. But there are at least $3 trillion out there of U.S. monies warehoused in different parts of independent countries, you know, so they don't bring it back into the United States because it's going to cost too much, right? So I'm saying that people of Guam have to recall that this is the one thing that we have that no one else in the United States has, is the ability to go out and give qualifying certificates to rebate federal taxes. Not California, not Massachusetts, not Northern Marianas, not Hawaii. We can do it. We can rebate. That's what the qualifying certificate is.
Sure.
And just so you know, also, so you okay?
Another young gun.
Yeah, 1950 they passed the Organic Act, right? 1950, and in the bottom of that last section of the Organic Act, it says any laws passed by the Guam government, the Congress has 1 year to veto it out. Well, when F.D. Paris passed the qualifying certificate in 1968, 1 year went by, and Congress was asleep at the switch. It became law, and then the federal government came in and said, "Oh my God, they sued us." But we won up to the Ninth Circuit, so that law is there. What do you think they're trying to get us to delink? They want to get us out from having ability only one jurisdiction to rebate federal taxes. So knowing that we have that, I am going to market that ability. Senator Mike San Nicolas passed it already, but I don't know if it was necessary, but it's good that it's there. GIDA will get to these businesses, those businesses that has those $3 trillion, and we'll give them maybe another 1 or 2% a rebate to bring their money and warehouse it here in Guam. Fill up all the banks here, every bank, not just one bank.
And
every
those
bank.
will be the new revenue streams that you're looking at.
Absolutely,
Right now. Okay.
and it's not manpower. You know, it's not overwhelming on the number of people you need. It's clean money, and people can have high-paying jobs in cyberspace, in accounting, whatever it is. But there's something that can easily be done because that authority is with the governor of Guam. So we'll market that very easily. It's already in place. Everything is in place. We just need to market it.
How important is Democratic unity going to be after their primary? How important is the unity of the Democratic Party going to be?
Everything is important, but maybe this time it's
Is it do or die?
No. I mean, you know, we're not going to be so certain.
Right.
But you know, I'm not going to say anymore. We're going to win.
Well, there goes my next question.
Okay, well, we do want to keep this to about 30 minutes. We're gonna give each gubernatorial team this fantastic conversation right now. So we'd like you to, you know, there's a lot of, speaking of millennials, there's a lot of people within that demographic watching this right now, saying maybe this is the first or second time theoretically I could vote. I'm not sure where I fall between Democrat, Republican. I don't even know, you know, what those virtues are on Guam. Can the both of you gentlemen make your final pitch to people watching right now about why they should consider Gutierrez Bordallo?
Well, I have a son, Freddie. He plays for 4-piece band, and he's entrepreneurial. And you know, they've reached top 10 Billboard reggae.
Mm-hmm.
And
Congratulations, that's fantastic.
I'm pitching on that. you know, there are a lot of young millennials that I've met. They finish college. They're looking for a job. They're in a job, but it's different from what the college degree they have. Like one has public administration, but they're working as a waitress. And they've come up and approached me and said, what can Governor Gutierrez and I do in terms of our businesses with the people, even the young millennials, the young adults. And what we want to do is create a business-friendly environment, because that will expand jobs in the economy. That will be able to have some of the private sector businesses who and the leadership that he's going to that the governor's going to ask to come and help with some of these challenges that we have in the next 4 years, and have them invest in their people, because we'll be a partner, strategic partner as a government, you know, to the businesses, so that it opens the ability for small businesses and others to be able to invest in their people, whether it's them moving up in their education and training, and or them opening up another job, so it expands the economic tax base.
All right. Well, thank you, Brett.
Yeah,
Mr. Governor, your final thoughts.
There's a lot to be said about institutional knowledge. Now, to the young millennials out there, when you're governor of Guam, you cannot be wishy-washy on where you stand. You got to have a vision so that people know where you're heading, so they can follow you. But when you stand up and one day you say, I'm against the build-up, and then the next day you're okay with the build-up, I'm for the build-up, because that's an immediate source of jobs that our people can have, immediate source of an additional on Section 30 funds. But to the people out there, you need to get someone in right now that has the institutional knowledge and knows where all the resources are. They're in Washington, D.C. You know, I said that some of these people, they're still fishing in their swimming pool. But I'm going to go across the pond, and I'm going to see President Trump. I'm going to see the powers that be in the Congress and the various departments, especially DOD, and have a network and a relationship, a personal relationship, so that hopefully, as I did with President Clinton, brought him out here. I'm going to bring Trump out here, whether you guys like it or not. But once you bring him here, that's a promise.
That's a
I'm
promise.
going to bring him here. I'll know how to do it. I did it. People couldn't believe that I would bring Trump. Not only Trump. First, I brought Hillary Clinton. I flew in the plane with her, coming into Guam from Honolulu. And then we got out. I took her out to the Hyatt, and she gave a nice speech there on her way to China. So with Clinton, he was having trouble at that time, but he still made it, because he made a commitment to me. And I'm going to get Trump. I know his language. I know that he's a businessman. I'm a businessman. And I know that what he's trying to do is to be able to set the pace correct again for the United States of America. People don't like him because they think he's a little crass. But the point is, he steps on this soil, gets out of Anderson Air Force Base, and then take a look at Guam as America in Asia, and become a partner not only with defense, but become a partner in the economic strategy of the United States. Like I said, America in Asia. I'll tell him, hey, you know those funds that you want back in with the 21% that you reduced, they'll bring it here, and I'll give them 2% more. And then he'll start thinking, all right, America in Asia will receive those funds, bring it into Guam. And then we become some kind of a partner that we talk the same language.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Well, I think it's definitely interesting that you're talking about becoming closer with Washington, D.C., while we have a lot of other candidates who are talking about getting further.
No, that's where the resources are. You don't want to fish in your swimming pool. You're not going to catch nothing there, maybe algae.
All right. Well,
Ear infection. Ear infection.
Well, gentlemen, we do appreciate you giving Chris and I and everybody watching right now on Facebook Live a little bit of your time. We realize with this being the last week, there's not a lot of it. So we really enjoyed talking to you, and best of luck to the both of you in the primary.
We'll look forward to the real after party. Thanks.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Governor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right. That for Chris Barnett, Fred Bordallo, Carl Gutierrez, I'm Jason Salas. Thank you so much for watching. After Party is every day this week. We have gubernatorial teams all lined up.
Yep. Tomorrow night we have Ugalim Tiaco.
Yep.
Right here on these couches. So don't miss that. For Jason Salas, my name is Chris Barnett. Thank you for watching the After Party. Hasta adios.
Adios. Still the one.